Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm talking about my passion for the military. My passion for military started in grade 1. My mom says that I first started liking it when I was given Army Men as a present from a family member or a friend. It was a long time ago, so no one really remembers. But I personally think that it started when I found a military book at my old school in the library. Ever since then, either way, however it started, I started to get books about World War II and other battles and armies whenever I got the chance. I also started to ask for Army Men for Christmas. This was also around the time I started to like Star Wars, so I also got Star Wars Lego too. And I used them both to make like battles, and not just small little skirmishes, but like massive battles that took up the whole room. Well, sometimes. My mom says she remembers my grade 1 teacher telling her that my passion for military was almost a phase. Was only a phase. 7 years later, my passion has only grown stronger, and I almost feel like a World War II and even tank historian. That's right, Mr. Katsubi. I'm going to end up teaching you about World War II. My favorite part of the military would have to be the tanks, but not just any tank. Mainly World War II tanks, like German Panzer divisions, the American tanks, and the German tanks. I know a lot about tanks already, but every chance I get, I learn more. I like to learn more. The first tank in my slide is the German Tiger tank. The Tiger was first brought into service in late 1943 to fight the British and American armies in North Africa. It was one of the German army's best tanks at the time and was one of their best throughout the whole war. And the reason for this was because the Sherman tank, it had to be really close to penetrate it, and it still barely ever penetrated it, even when it was close. And the Tiger also had a long-range gun that could take out an enemy tank from 2 kilometers away. So most tanks got destroyed from the Allies. And the next tank is the German Panzer IV. The Panzer IV was first used in the Battle of France. It was one of the best tanks at its time since it was cheap. The Germans easily mass-produced it, making it It was also stronger than the French and British tanks because its 75 millimeter can could easily destroy the French B-1 heavy tank, even though because it was produced in small numbers, but it had 2 guns, which still made it powerful. And it also outmatched the British Matilda tank, which was had to be shipped over. So yeah. And since it was so successful, they used it in the invasion of Russia. And the next tank is the Russian KV-1. In World War II, there were 2 variants of the KV. The KV-2 had a large box turret that held a large howitzer cannon, making it very slow. The Germans captured pretty much all of them. And the KV-1 first used to defend against the German invasion of Russia. The KV-1, being a heavy tank, was a surprise to the Germans since they only expected light and medium tanks. So their Panzer IV was pretty much useless against them, other than its numbers. However, and since they were expensive, the Germans overran them pretty quickly. The final tank is the Russian T-34. The first time T-34 was used was in the second year of the German invasion of Russia. The first variant was the T-34-76. The 76 part is the gun. I don't really know what millimeters is for it. I think it's like power, the thickness of the armor it can break through. And it was a very cheap tank that was armored, powerful, and very fast. It was also the first tank to use sloped armor, which was good because the sloped armor made it so sometimes the shots bounced off. And since the T-34 was such a cheap tank, it was produced in massive numbers. And and the Panzer IV was no match for it. So the Germans so that's the second reason the Germans created Tiger tank. They also created the Panther medium tank to counter it. So the Russians created a new variant of T-34 called the T-34-85, which had an 85 millimeter cannon that could pierce both of the new German tanks' armors. And since I like military so much, I joined the Kitchener-Waterloo 1596 Royal Highland Fusiliers Cadets. And being a cadet should also boost my chances of becoming a high-ranking officer in the military, if I get lucky. I also joined because it should help my chances of getting into the RMC. In cadets, we do things like learn drill, which is pretty much like formations. And sometimes we just stand still for like 5 minutes with our arms up, like this. My arm gets pretty tired. And that's just for like getting us into position. We also learn about the history of our core military ranks, and we learn how to take care of ourselves in winter FTXs, which is when we go up north in the winter to do like a camping trip. This year, it was canceled because it was too cold. Cadets also help to prepare you for lifelong leadership skills. And that's it.